I grew up with like president is a man in a suit and deep, heavy voice and super, super intelligent and maybe smoked a cigar. And you look at me and it's like, wait, what? We have this serene place where a lot of the world's prominent individuals live and a murder takes place. And it's me. I'm sorry, spoilers, I'm dead. The president of the United States has been assassinated. Sterling is his right-hand man, his head detail on the Secret Service unit. And he's also a suspect in the crime. So we go on this whodunit journey. You start to realize that is just the tip of the iceberg. And perhaps the show takes on a completely different shape altogether once it gets moving. Think of others as much as you think of yourself. Take time to think about what kind of person you want to be. And that is defined by your choices. It's a good lesson in the show. Yeah, and take care of the things around you, the people around you. First question I asked Dan after I read the script was, how close are we to this actually? It's going to be everyone's question when they see the show. We keep getting humbled by our facts that continue to surface about where we're headed. When you're a young human being, you feel invincible. And I would argue that the human species is still pretty young compared to the Earth. And I'm wondering if we're still in that phase where we're slowly getting humbled by what's happening. I'm not an expert on this topic, so I don't know where we are with all of it. But it certainly, as a father of three, makes you wonder about the world that they're stepping into. And it makes you think and makes you question and reevaluate really truly what's important to you and how, for your limited time here on Earth, how do you want to spend it and what kind of person you want to be. I don't think I'll ever hear that enough. But a few people have, but I'm always very flattered. I don't think that I do necessarily, but I think that's what's fun about this character as well, is we're sort of rewriting what that looks like. I grew up with president is a man in a suit and, streaky gray hair and combed with oil. I don't know, and deep, heavy voice and super, super intelligent and maybe smoked a cigar. And you look at me and it's like, wait, what? I feel like the more human that person is, the better. I like that someone who has up in his past can take that position, because that forms and shapes who you are in life and what you learn from that. And I want a person with that sort of life experience to be in that. I want someone who can communicate. I want someone who can empathize. I feel like we get some of that with Cal in this performance, and maybe he doesn't look like your typical cardboard cutout president, because he is a kind of a perpetual child sometimes. He kind of breaks the rules. He's drinking and smoking in the White House and messing around and carries a lot of regrets with him. And he's made his fair share of mistakes and some wishes he'd done some things differently. But I think that humanizes him and makes him more relatable. Sometimes I feel like the president is who is that human being? Never has crossed my mind. No, I don't think I would want that job. Much like Cal in this show, I would do my best to do the right thing for the people. I really would. And I do think my sort of internal moral compass is a good one. And so if that's it, if that's all I can deliver, then I'm happy with that. If that's all we need, and then yeah, maybe I could be qualified. But by definition alone, the commander-in-chief, that position, you're going to have enemies, and you're going to upset people, and you're going to be wrong, and you're going to be, But maybe that's a sort of lesson of life, is that you're always going to, no matter whether or not you're president, you're going to go through life, and you're not going to be everybody's friend. You are going to disappoint people. You are going to, and it's how you move through that. Thank God I'll never really be there, unless it really, really, really gets bad. But I feel like there's going to be other more exceptional people to take that position before I do. I've always wanted to play Sinatra. Has always been something that I grew up listening to his music. My mom used to play it all the time. I sort of started emulating him, and it's how I learned how to sing. And there's several stories to tell about that man, and a lot of them really sad ones. That was always something I'd like to do, a biopic about him. Thought that would be very cool. How many movies out there being made about him right now? Not many biopics being made anyway. And now I'm getting to the age where I could sort of buy it. When he was really interesting. I mean, when he was complicated. he was complicated. Yeah, I was, for sure. Everybody was. And Sterling's one of those actors that, you could just listen to him read the phone book. You'd be riveted. And he's a great human being, and so is Dan. And you could tell that both of them don't want to work with assholes. They don't deal with egos. They just want good people, good-hearted people that are talented, that are excited about getting up and going to work during the day. So that's the world that I always want to be in. I'm not of the mind that it needs to be torture to what we do. It can be fun, and you can be around good people. So that was exciting. And then they brought all this crew from This Is Us as well, a lot of the crew along, and you could tell that it was a big family. And it was nice to see, even though if you were a newcomer coming in, stepping into it, it was a very warm, welcoming feeling. So it was pretty special. Tina was such a talent. The writers on that show, I feel like the writing was the big star of the show. I mean, you had Tina and Tracy and everybody and Jane and Alec. It's a tremendous cast. The writing was so sharp and so perfect and so meta. It tapped into the tip of the spear when you talk about comedy and like cutting edge comedy. It was so smart. It was so relevant. And I got to be this, doofus, like this lovable puppy dog, I guess, who sold hot dogs on the street. It's like, perfect. Oh, great. I remember stepping in after Matt Damon left, and John Hamm was there. It was like, okay. I did one season and loved it. I thought that was it. And they called me back for the last season, and I was like, is this working? Are we sure that this is good? Is it funny? I couldn't tell. And they were like, yeah, we want you guys to end up together and get married. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's working. But loved Tina, loved sharing scenes with her. We really understood each other about what we thought was quirky, funny, and sort of offbeat. And I liked kind of going down that path with her. I don't know, man. Maybe doing a Civil War reenactment somewhere, or yeah, probably on their 7th child if they can't afford. But happy as can be. Happy as could be, dressing them as like all of the monsters for Halloween or so. I'm just making sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some, or Star Wars characters actually. It'd be like, Star Wars characters. I could see them with like 3 dogs and 7 kids, and each of them as a Star Wars character for Christmas or something, right? But yeah, it's fun. I could go on and on about that, what they would be doing. No, I think they probably lost my number. I think they probably misplaced it. I don't know. There's been little chatter here and there over the course of the last 5-10 years. So I've learned to sort of like not to expect it, but I would love to do it. I always wanted to be a regular on the show. I didn't even want to host. That was my dream. I was like, I'd love to just be somebody who comes in and does goofy bits. Bill Hader, another Oklahoma. But yeah, I'd be totally open to that. That'd be a huge career bucket list check for sure.